Hey, welcome back to another episode of CP 2049, a Solid State Society. We are back after a 2 month hiatus. Yes, indeed, it's been that long. Um, Tonight with us, we have Matt and Rogue, who will be playing Yin and Machine, respectively. Tonight's game um, will continue from where the last session left off, which was called You Can Call Me Al. Um, since it's been that long, I'm going to give a little more in depth overview of what happened in the last session so that everybody is caught up. Um, so, to begin, the last session starts with Yin and Rogue in Rogue's apartment um, discussing the intricacies of living together, clothes lying on the floor, not enough hot pockets. As Yin and Rogue, Yin and a machine share an intimate moment. Uh, Yin gets a call, and it turns out it's Mr. Sachs. There seems to be an investigation from the Icarus PD into the warehouse explosion. This is the same warehouse where Yin and the gang rescued Neuro from an unknown group of individuals. They are both Mr. Sachs and his organization is perplexed as to why Icarus PD is so hell bent on finding out the culprit of those explosions. Mr. Sachs asks Yin to do what she can to slow the investigation, while he uses his contacts to find out what is propelling who or what is pushing the Icarus PD in this direction. After that call is done, immediately Yin receives a message. This one is from GoToCorp. It seems a transport has gone missing. The contents of the transport are very valuable to the company, and any agent that can retrieve and bring back the transport would be paid 5k, 5,000 credits. Yin decides this would be an opportune time to not infiltrate, but reconnect with GoToCorp and potentially get access to their computing systems. She has some plans of her own that she would like to set in motion. Yin and Machine discuss their options as to how they can go about finding the armored transport when Yin hits up on the idea of contacting the Cryptics. This is the gang in the stacks that Yin and a group helped overthrow another gang that they were having a turf war with. She reaches out to the Cryptics and makes contact with a person called Tito, who agrees to help her arrange a meeting with their boss. Um, Yin and Machine proceed to the stacks. They link up with Tito and they proceed to meet Cryptic's gang leader, who goes by the name Ramses. Yin proposes her plan, which is basically the Cryptics blow up a bunch of buildings in Icarus 1, keep the Icarus PD occupied, eventually slowing the investigation down. Ramses is not too happy with that proposal. He feels that it would draw too much attention to his gang and he's busy trying to get a foothold in the stacks itself. Machine, seeing that they're at an impasse, steps in and tries to convince with another plan. He says rather than the Cryptics blowing up the building, why can't they make it look like the Chaos Gang did it? Ramses thinks about this, seems convinced. He proposes that his gang will spread misinformation about a cache of rockets that the Chaos Gang owns, and he will try and create some mayhem, giving the police enough reason to raid such the premises and find the cache of rockets and hopefully misdirect the investigation. Ramses, Yin, and Machine come to an agreement and they part ways. Yin and Machine proceed to grab a bite when receives another message from a GoToCorp operative. It seems that the missing transport was an inside job. The driver has gone missing, and sources say that he was last seen in the stacks. Given that you're already in the stacks and you have a cryptics guide, you decide to uh, approach him and see if he would help you. The guide agrees, and you guys start navigating the stacks. Um, the guide goes by the name Al, and while you guys are navigating, and he's using his contacts to see if somebody who's not of the stack, someone under some dubious circumstances is seeking refuge in the stacks, does any of his contacts know about it? So while Al is working his contacts and helping you navigate the stacks, he takes a moment to explain the cryptics and the ideology to you. It seems that the cryptics believe they are not separate gang members, but actually a collective, a single entity working towards a common goal. They do not address each other by names rather than know each other by face, thus creating this tight knit group that it's hard to infiltrate. Their goal is to clean up the stacks, bring some order into it, and ensure that they are the ones who create that order and benefit from it. While you guys have been given the history lesson, Al's contacts come back saying that yes, there is an individual does not seem who seems out of place, and he's living in a hotel in the gentrified section of the stacks. You guys make your way there, and he helps you sneak up to a building close by and points out certain features about the building and the people around it. You see that there are three men well armed with shotguns wearing gang signs that are not affiliated with any other Stacks gang. They all seem to have taken defensive positions around the hotel. Um, you guys make a plan to attack them with stealth, while Al chooses to go down and distract them with talk. Unfortunately, not everything goes to plan. Al eats a shotgun shell and instantly dies. Ian and Machine um, eventually win the fight, take out the guards through knives and sword attacks. Um, Yin ruffles through the contents of the gang members and finds a few papers. She sees a gang insignia but cannot recognize it. You guys make your way into the hotel, and as you do, you see the suspect coming down the stairs. He sees you coming up and he immediately runs back to his room. Yin is able to catch up and break through the door. Machine and Yin interrogate the man. Initially, he does not give much information, but through persistence and a lot of threats, you're able to discern that he indeed is the driver. Um, he was approached by a gang called the Silverlight Pact. They promised him a cut from selling the contents if he would drive the van to their warehouse. They would keep him protected from the Goto Corp, and they would make a deal on their end. Ian is able to deduce that the location of the deal is from papers she got from the gang members killed outside. She threatens the driver with death while he responds saying, maybe there's something I can do instead and let me live. Ian agrees. You guys leave the stacks. Takes you some time because your guide is dead. Eventually get to your car and start driving to the location of the exchange. You convince the driver to behave like a distraction, a street bum asking for loose change, while Yin and Machine set up for an ambush. Eventually, the transport van arrives and a couple of gang members step out. While the driver tries his best to distract them, his efforts are in vain. They are irritated with him, and one of the gang members just headbutts him with the shotgun. The driver is knocked out cold, but it is enough confusion for Yin to sneak up on one of them and execute them. She then proceeds to enter the van and impale the driver. In the meantime, Machine opens up fire and kills one of the other gang members standing outside. Meantime, the buyers arrive. They see the commotion and see the gunfight going down. and they immediately retreat. Not before Machine realizes that they are the same people, may not be the exact people, but they look very similar to the guards that were guarding the warehouse where Neuro was being held. Machine can't but help think that there might be some connection between this drug buy and that group who was trying to sweat Neuro for certain details. At the end of all of that, Yin throws the driver in the back of the transport and starts driving it against her best judgment. She believes she's not that good of a driver. However, Machine leads the way, Yin follows. In the transport on the navigation system, Yin sees that the vehicle was destined to go to a Gotocorp warehouse not very far away. She punches in the coordinates and sends them to Machine as well. And that is where we shall pick up tonight's session, with Yin driving the transport and Machine in the lead of this convoy. Go ahead, guys.
Machine will comlink to Yin real quick while he's driving. Where do you think we should park these things?
Would I know kind of the general, like I know the general area of the warehouse that we're going to. Would I know basically where to park?
Yeah, so you would know that most go-to warehouses that can accept such transports would actually be set up to. It's almost like a large building with a large shutter, and you generally just drive the transport vehicle in. They have people who load unload the vehicles, kind of like a clearing and forwarding area. This warehouse seems to be in a industrial region of Icarus One, but not heavy industries. More like like a more like a warehouse district. There's ample parking around there. Um, you know, um, so Machine can park his car wherever, but you would be expected to drive the transport in if you make contact with Goto upon arrival.
And Yin responds to Machine. Well, as far as I know, we just drive the van inside the building, though I do think that you should park your car nearby beforehand. Get into the passenger seat here, and I will drive in.
That sounds good. All right, then. I'll pull it into a nice little hiding spot for us if we needed to use it for a getaway, and then I'll jump in with you.
Well, I do hope that we won't have to use it for a getaway. I'm not in the, probably not a good idea to make enemies of the Goto Corporation just quite yet. I would like to at least keep up the ruse that I am still part of it.
That sounds good. But things don't always go as planned.
Very true. I just hope this does.
Yeah, me too. We still got a movie to see.
And we still have shopping to do.
Where is Sniffles at?
I think he's in the back of my vehicle.
Yes, he's still knocked out cold in the back of your vehicle.
Okay. All right. So Machine will park not too far away, hopefully, if there's a place to find a dark alley, I guess. Kind of slide it in there and then quickly jump into the passenger's side.
Sure. So what happens is, just so that you guys have a visual of everything, you guys eventually arrive towards the location where the building is. You're not yet at the building. I would say you're maybe a 3-4 blocks away from the building. That's how I've placed your tokens. When you get there, you both of you stop your vehicles and you look around. Both of your navigation systems show that the location that you need to go is here where I'm pinging. You take a moment to look around and you see that this is a building and there's a street parallel to the building. Machine, if you want to, if you hang a left, which is in this direction. 1 minute. Let me see. In that direction, you could park the car around the back of the building, then come back and jump into the passenger seat of the transport. Is that kind of what you had in mind?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Perfect. So while Ian waits, machine takes the left, drives around the back of the building. You see that this is a deserted street. It's not an alley, it's definitely a street, but at this time of the night there's not many people, there's no one around. You find a spot underneath the street lights, or do you want to put the car where it can be easily seen, or kind of park it in the shadows?
Yeah, he'd put it in the shadows probably, and try to stick to the shadows when he got back towards the car too.
Awesome. And machine, you know that based on how you drove and spatial setup of this space, that this is the building, the one I'm pointing would be the GoToCorp warehouse. Give me a notice plus intelligence roll with a +1 modifier.
Oh, I didn't notice plus wisdom.
Okay, that's fine. Cool. You just take a moment to quickly look around your surroundings. Make sure that no one's around, kind of lurking in the shadows. No one seems to be lurking. You also see that the GoToCorp building has a bunch of scaffolding attached to it. There seems to be some construction going on. There are a few windows higher up, and that's all you can see. You park the car, lock it, and walk back a few blocks and around the corner to link up with Ian. At this point, Ian, machine, and all of you are together in the transport. What would you like to do at this point?
Machine will come and duck in and smile over at Ian when he gets in the car. So far, so good.
And Yin will take off her face mask, the rebreather that she has, smiling over at Machine. Yes. Hopefully, I'm able to get in and insert this damn. She kind of taps her chest. There's like a little pocket there, and I still have the computer chip for, well, the one we were going to sell.
I want to make sure Sniffles doesn't wake up. Mess everything up for us.
What exactly would he mess up?
Hopefully he doesn't wake up.
True, but we are giving him back to the GoToCorp. They can deal with him how they please. As far as I know, he knows nothing. Besides the fact that he was attempting to sell this cargo.
That's true. Machine will look over towards the guards up at the front. Does he only see one standing up there?
Yes, you only see one guard up there. You don't need to roll anything because Yin's also been looking, and both of you just see one Gotocorp guard out. Nobody else seems to be hiding in the shadows. And you would also see that there's right here there's a large enough those metal industrial shutters. It's large enough to basically drive a vehicle like the one you're in through, kind of like the loading bay, but rather than something sitting outside and being loaded, in order to keep privacy, Goto drives the vehicles in, loads them, and then drives them.
He'll look over at Yen and... Alright, you ready for this? You think you can keep the vehicle straight and make it in there?
She kind of makes a bit of a worried face, looking back forward, putting back on her face mask. I will try. I'm not usually one for driving large vehicles into tight spaces. Just, if I need to correct anything, just tell me.
Alright, I've got your back.
And Yen, kind of the corners of her eyes, is smiling up at that machine before she turns back to the road, putting the car back in drive and slowly approaching the Gotocorp building, attempting to kind of sidle up by the guard and rolling down the window to talk to them.
Nice. So you guys drive up to the guard, and as you get there, she raises her hand because you guys are clearly trying to pull into the Gotocorp.
Yen rolls down the window. Evening.
And she looks at you and looks past you at machine. This is a restricted building. Do you have business here?
Yes. Agent Yin returning a stolen armored vehicle reported missing earlier tonight.
One moment. And you can clearly see this guard is well armed, very well armed. They're wearing combat armor, and she's carrying a combat rifle very similar to Machine's. It actually seems a little more powerful than Machine. She slowly starts walking around. She stops at the back of the transport, makes a note of the registration plate, pulls out a compad. You can see her typing certain things, and the transport checks out. I'm not so sure. And she walks up to the window, and from her pocket she pulls out what looks like a scanner, but it's little bulkier. Please place your right hand for identification.
And Yin takes out her right hand, moving her glove, placing it on the scanner.
You place your hand, you can feel the machine vibrating a little as it's starting to scan. The scan completes, and just when you think it's done, you feel a little pinprick on your right index finger, and then on her end it says scan complete. She says, she pulls the machine away from you, looks at the screen. Identity verified. Welcome, Agent Ian.
And Ian smiles with her eyes, the woman. I do like the amount of security. Very aggressive.
Well, one can't be too careful now.
Of course.
She steps back and pulls out another gadget while replacing the scanner. She presses it and you hear the shutters start rising as the gates open up. She says, drive on in.
And Ian nods, rolling back up the window before taking the vehicle into the open shutters. She looks
Okay.
over to machine. First turtle down.
Yeah, that was a nice gun.
Maybe we can get you one similar later.
Yeah.
You guys make it into the warehouse. You drive the vehicle in. The gate is behind you this way. And as you drive the vehicle in, you see up ahead there are a set of stairs that go up, and there's one more guard standing up there, looking down.
And Yin buckles seatbelts, hops out of the vehicle, or closing the door and motioning to Machine to do the same.
Yeah, machine pops out too. Scanning around, making sure everything's all clear.
Yep, go ahead, both of you give me a notice plus wisdom. Nice. Both of you notice that this guard is intently looking at both of you and checking you out. The next thing you notice as you look around is that there is the red X. There's a closed circuit camera looking down into the loading bay. There's one here that's looking up at the staircase that's coming through, and there is one here that is kind of it's like a triangular setup that's making sure that it's covered all the angles of what's happening in the loading. You notice there are all these seem to be labeled with Gotocorp, and some of them seem to be like they have condensation on them, which means the contents inside are being kept at very cold temperatures. A few of those boxes also have let me mark those out for you. The biohazard symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a few of them have the biohazard symbol also on them.
Interesting.
Yin kind of glances over to the biohazard containers, looks around the loading bay before looking up to the guard up top. She gives a bit of a wave with two fingers and motions to Machine to start following her up.
Nice. So you guys make your way up. Let me move you. As you get there, she looks at you. Returning stolen property, I believe, correct?
Correct.
Well, you would want to see the controller. He is right up the stairs and to your left.
Thank you. And nods and continues up the stairs.
Nice. Just so you guys continue up the stairs, and eventually you hang the left, and you get into the control room. The control room overlooks the loading bay. You would see that where I'm pinging, you can partially see the the front of the transport. Through these glasses, you can see that the guard that was at the top of the stairs, he's standing out there. She is not looking at you. She's basically just scanning, the entire area. So her head is moving left, right, and just keeping an eye on things. There seems to be no suspiciousness about the both of you as you arrive in and bring the transport. So as you get into the room, the person is hunched at the computer terminal. He looks up. Ah, you must be, and he looks at his computer screen again. Definitely the system is tracking, from your entry into the warehouse with your identification. You must be Agent Yin. Is that correct?
It's correct. Jill gonna approach Mason, taking off the mask and smiling.
Well. Okay. So, it seems you have returned the transport that was reported missing today. Well, that is pretty quick work, Agent Ian.
I always do my best under pressure.
Well, my name is Mason, by the way. I do sometimes forget to introduce myself. Nonetheless, let's go check out the cargo, shall we?
Yes, and there's also a bit of a surprise in the back. I have brought back the driver, the reason for the disappearance of said shipment.
Ah. Well, I'm pretty sure the corporation would have some interesting questions for the driver. But that doesn't concern us so much. He gets up from his seat and starts walking towards you. If you would follow me.
Of course. Yin turns to follow Mason.
Nice. Machine, what do you do? Do you follow?
Yeah, Machine's gonna follow Mason as well, but he's gonna look over towards the computer console the guy was looking at. Is there some type of tracking device that he was looking at that's actually keeping track of Yin's movements? Does it show anything like that on the screen, or?
Sure. So yeah, while he's walking up to you, quickly glance at his computer monitor. You see that it is not tracking Yin's movements per se. It is more like a inventory management system. You see that there's a tab that says people checked in, as in people who have checked into this building. There's one more tab that shows all the inventory that is going to be moved through the day. Most of it doesn't make sense to you, but you can see that when Yin had to go through the identification procedure at the gate, the system was all linked. So when she was identified, she was checked in saying that an agent has arrived at this location.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yay.
but it's not really tracking her movements per se.
Awesome. And then he'll follow behind.
Awesome. So you guys make it out again, make it down the stairs, and walk up to the back of the truck. Mason seems to have he pulls out this instrument and punches in codes and kind of holds it to the back of the truck. You both of you, Yin and Machine, hear a couple of clicks go off inside. He's basically remote unlocked the truck. This is, it's pretty clear that this is how they make sure that nobody just opens the back of the truck who's not authorized to. When you guys open the back of the truck, you see that the driver is lying there. He's still unconscious. Mason walks in, gets up onto the bed of the truck, and he looks at his data pad and starts comparing invoices and tracking numbers to each of the package in the back of the truck. He's busy for about 5 minutes. While he's doing that, he's kind of humming to himself, completely at ease and relaxed. Are you going to wait till he's finished? Is there anything you guys would like to do?
Yin is kind of pacing about, arms crossed. She's still looking over the warehouse itself. Kind of taking note of everything in here, where everything's placed.
All right.
Yeah, Machine is standing there watching Yin pace back and forth, and he'll kind of every once in a while shift his eyes toward the guard, then to Mason, and to the body of the unconscious Sniffles in the back, and then back to Yin, waiting on a signal from her or anything like that.
Yeah, so far, like, during that 5 minutes, she just seems to be looking impatient at Mason, kind of checking through invoices. And she paces.
Cool. Okay. 5 minutes pass. Mason is done. He jumps from the bed of the truck back on the ground. It all seems to be in order, Agent Ian. And he then turns to Machine. And you don't quite check out.
He is an associate of mine.
I see. Very well then, an associate of the agent. You're responsible for him, Agent Ian, as always. Very well, follow me, as I shall make out the payment. I believe the sum was 5,000 credits.
Yes. That
He
sounds
nods.
accurate.
And starts making his way up the stairs.
And as they're following Mason up the stairs, maybe she's gonna lag a bit behind, and she looks to Dean, leaning in and whispering, "Distract him for a few minutes while we're up there."
All right, no problem.
And she continues to follow.
Nice. So you guys follow up the stairs. The guard is looking at you nonchalantly, and, but as always, just alert, keeping an eye on the warehouse. Both of you make it up to the controller's office. By the time you guys get up there, Mason is already sitting at his computer desk. He's furiously typing away. You can see from your vantage point that he's just filling out a bunch of forms, specifying, the contents are back, that everything is in, uploading all the invoices, just routine bureaucratic paperwork. And then he brings up one other form or a tab, and he starts, filling out paperwork for making out a transaction. As he's about to finish, he gets a pop-up on his screen, and he kind of looks at it quizzically, and then he looks back at you, Ian, and then he looks back at the pop-up.
Is that Adele?
He looks at you, and he kind of squints his eyes. He's not quite sure. Your associate doesn't seem to be very bright, Miss Ian. Dells have gone out of business for almost 70 years now. No, my good friend, this is an Ono Sendai. But anyway, and he kind of, your question seems to have distracted him completely, but he shakes his head and, Miss Yin, the system says that you are due for a checkup, and it's not going to allow me to make a payout till you have been checked out. I mean, medically.
Of course. She pauses, scratching the side of her face. And where exactly must I go for said checkup? I do not think I received this notification.
Yes, the system does say it has been trying to reach you, but sometimes these things, they say one thing and something else happens in reality. Computer bugs everywhere. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We do have a scientist / doctor on the premises. He's the one who makes sure that the pharmaceuticals that we ship out of here are all up to spec. He is right behind you through that corridor to your right.
Perfect. I will.
Machine.
Go ahead.
Machine will at that time be over here looking at these screens and stuff, and kick something over on accident. Well, on purpose, but make it seem like an accident. Oh, sorry about that.
Mason gets up and kind of. I didn't quite catch your name, sir. Yin's associate. Do you go by a name, or should I make one up for you? And he seems kind of irritated at this point.
Yeah, I'm James.
Well, James, if you wouldn't mind, please step out back into the loading bay. This is a restricted area, of course, and I cannot allow a non-agent to just be walking around. So if you would be so kind as to step out while Yin goes and completes a medical checkup.
I completely understand. No worries at all. I was just checking out these monitors here. It's I guess you don't want me looking at this, huh? Top secret stuff. Is that what it is?
Yes, top secret. And he kind of gets up and starts using his hands to cover the monitors. Now, please leave this room. You can wait out there on the stairs.
And Yin looks over to Machine and kind of nods. Yes, James, if you could wait outside.
Oh, sure thing. Sure thing, boss.
And she looks over to Mason and kind of shakes her head as Machine leaves. There's a reason I don't hire the bright ones.
Uh, that does make sense, but I have seen some dimwits walk through here, but he's been the best so far. And I don't mean that as a compliment.
Well, it's the brawn that I look for, not the brain. But yes, mighty impressive for how smart he is.
Yes, that is true. Some of these guards outside also are all brawn and no brain.
And she gonna nods. So just down this way?
Yes.
Okay. She'll hesitate before turning around and going down the hallway. She's kind of, she walks down, she's tapping her leg with one of her fingers. A little bit nervous.
Cool. And you go further into the warehouse through that corridor where you're walking through, and then you hang a left. Eventually, you kind of come into a large room. The room seems to be full of scientific equipment, pharmaceutical equipment, a lot of hydroponics systems set up. There seems to be a lot of plants that seem to be growing. All these plants seem they don't seem normal. Some have extremely large like bulbs that kind of look like a fruit, but they're not really. They look like a flower that's about to bloom, but not. Some of them have like vines and creepers entwining, and that has basically formed the stem of the plant, the trunk of the plant. And there are some more which kind of look like Venus flytraps. Um, some of them just look like weed, but something seems off. They all have like either like orangish or purplish hues, and you know, on them. You walk through walk into the room. You kind of look up to your left and to your right, and you see two guards standing on a railing, looking down into the room, keeping an eye on everything. There is a Godocorp scientist who seems to be kind of tending to this shrub. As you walk in, he kind of looks up. Yes, may I help you? Are you lost?
No, I'm Agent Ian. I apparently need a checkup.
Oh, that is strange indeed. This is not generally a facility where we do checkups, but you're here anyway, so. And I am a licensed medical professional. Well, come along then. And he kind of steps away from what he was doing and makes his way, to the computer system.
And as she's going, Yin kind of glances down at her phone. I'm guessing in places like this, phones really aren't allowed, or at least frowned upon to use them. I'm not sure.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you have them. You can be pretty sure that if you use it in this room, you will be looked upon with suspicion. If they are too suspicious, they might even confiscate your phone.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Machine is, I mean, he's actually wondering like what is going on right now. So he's talking to the guard for a minute out there, and then he does send her that text. He tries to be like inconspicuous with the text, but I mean they've got 360 view in that room, so they would probably see him using his phone.
Yeah, you're so when you're using your phone out in the loading bay, the guard looks at you but doesn't think much of it. But in this room, which is their some sort of research development, or you know, um,
Yeah.
you can, you know, Yin would know it wouldn't be wise to take out a phone, but one can always do.
Mm-hmm. Yin would feel like the compound like vibrating. She taps it. She ignores it before falling over to the scientist.
Yes.
Mason sent me.
Very well then. So, if you would be so kind as to step up, and what happens is from from this big machine, it has a couple of screens and a terminal that he controls, and from within the machine, kind of outsteps a uh, like a pad that you can step up on, and a couple of additional sensors, kind of, so you kind of feel like you're in an airport that's going to scan you.
Mhm.
If you would please be so kind as to step up to the scanner.
And Yin nods and steps up to the scanner.
This will take only but a moment, and you can hear him tapping a few keys, and the system powers up, and then you start hearing the scan. And while the system is scanning you, you can see on the monitors up here, you're scanned, not like a photographic scan, but more like a bioscan of you starts appearing.
Mhm.
Well, Messian seem to have been active the last few weeks. I see bruises and lesions. Uh, nothing too dangerous, I suppose.
No, just general activity. You know how it is.
Yes, I do know how it is. It seems that you received a surgery on your left side of your abdomen. Looking at it, seems to be a bullet wound.
Yes, unfortunately, I got shot.
Hmm. Happens in the line of duty, I guess. But I must say that the whoever did the job knew what they were doing. It's a clean incision and clean stitches. I'm impressed.
Yes, I am lucky to have survived. Very good doctor.
Well, the scan is complete. You can step off now.
She steps off the scanner and looks to the scientist. Is that all you need me for?
Not yet. And you can see him typing a few things. Well, Miss Yin, according to the system, physically you seem fine. But it seems that you have not come in recently for a refill of the medicine you seem to be taking, and he kind of points to, his cheek area, meaning the mask you wear. Have you not been using your medicine often?
And Ian pauses for a second, or looking back to the doctor. I did realize that after I was shot, I do not know if it was some sort of imbalance that I was experiencing, but the meds seem to affect me a little bit more strongly than normal. Not sure if that was the reason why I got shot, but I decided to cut down slightly just to see if I could function better.
Give me a charisma plus talk. I shouldn't have put a +2, sorry.
Whoops. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So he rolled 3 plus 4, 7 minus 1, 6 plus 2, 8.
Oh no.
And you rolled a 6. Okay. And he kind of strokes his chin. Well, then, if you wouldn't mind if I run some blood tests now, would you, Miss Yin? We do not want our agents to be performing suboptimally in the field.
Of course, Doctor. But can I call you Doctor?
Yes, yes, you may. And he kind of he's not turning his back to you. He has like his shoulders are pointed to you. Again, he seems very relaxed. He just feels what you said doesn't quite add up. But then, the human body sometimes does strange things. So to him, he just has to run some more tests. So he kind of walks away to the side a bit and starts opening a couple of drawers where he seems to be pulling out medical equipment. Very clearly, these are things that can draw blood and run tests. So he's doing that, and he says, "Yes, yes, you may call me a doctor."
Perfect. I am not sure if maybe the medicine needs to be altered or something. Maybe the chemical properties or something like that. But, test away.
Yes, yes. Sometimes the human body develops an immunity to the drug, or sometimes the human body develops a, how does one put it, a symbiotic relationship with the drug. But drugs and physiology, they are still a difficult thing to put a finger on, even in this modern day and age. And he's kind of chit-chattering away while he's preparing the instruments. Yin, give me actually, you don't need to roll for this. You would know that. Go to someone who keeps close records of all their employees, and they would know how much how much of the drug you would actually be needing on a day-to-day basis. Right? That's how they keep control over you. But since you linked up with all these people, you have found new purpose in your life. The drug is not the only thing keeping you going. There are new things, right? And drugs there's a psychological aspect to drug abuse. It was other things in your life that led you here on to drugs, but as those things got better, you and your mind's ability to not ability, you and your mind's need wanting the drug reduced. So you've not been using it as much. You've been taking off your mask more. These are all going to stand out as he does more tests. So this is all running through your mind as as this is happening.
Yeah, she's nervous in this case. I was seeing the guards up there, seeing him pull out the instruments. But kind of internally, she's feeling a bit trapped at the moment. She's really not sure what to do.
Okay. And at this point, 1 minute, I just want to make sure.
And she still hasn't responded to Machine's messages.
Machine. So, Machine, you see yourself on the screen. You're kind of, I'm just moving you in the corner because you're outside. Wait, it's not okay. Okay, so Machine, what I want you to do is give me a mental saving throw. You're outside by yourself. Yin's gone in. You do not know what's happening, what's taking so long. This is basically to check if you can keep a control of your emotions.
Yeah, he's starting to sweat a little bit, thinking about all right, she's not answering me, has no idea really why they dragged her back there, asked her to go back there. And of course, he's thinking it's possibly, a ruse by them, telling him that she needs a checkup or something. So he's just some way to split them up,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what's going through his head at the moment, and so he's trying to keep his cool. He's not talking to the guard anymore, but he's, texting her, what the fuck, are you okay? And waiting for a response.
Yep. And you're not getting the responses, and it's taking longer. Go ahead and make that mental save to see. Nice. Okay, so machine, you now have all sorts of crazy scenarios running through your head. Oh, like did they find out that Yin's working against Godocorp? Does do they know that Yin has found other people and she's working, and she has her own business, so you have all these, like, is she strapped to some chair and being interrogated? You have all these things running through your head.
Yeah, so he's about to flip out, and he's thinking about going up the stairs and barging in and talking to that guy. So he's like thinking about that right now, but he's gonna try, I think, one more time to text her and let her know.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, I would say you're going to try and call her. Like, you just,
Okay.
Yeah, you and Yin, you start hearing the compad kind of vibrate in your, in your pockets.
Am I able to kind of stealthily basically answer the call, but just leave it like running so you can hear what's going on?
Sure. I mean, you can reach into your pockets and turn it on.
Yeah, so she's gonna just kind of casually, as the doctor's going through the drawers, she's gonna reach into her pocket. She's gonna turn down the volume beforehand, and then so it doesn't hear, anyone shouting over the speaker. And then she'll answer the phone. And as she does, she clears her throat. Doctor, do you know approximately how long this is going to take?
It shouldn't take too long. I just have to draw some blood and run it through our analysis. I'm just curious because you're definitely on the lower side of your intake, and you have not come in for a refill. We just don't want our agents to have certain meltdowns in critical and crucial moments during a mission. But nothing to be worried about. This is routine. It happens once in a while. We just need to find out what's wrong and, if need be, up the dosage.
Of course, I would prefer to be able to remain calm within missions. No sudden outbursts or anything like that.
Yes, definitely. All our agents should be rational, but they should be sharp, like a weapon. And he seems to be kind of rambling off now in some mumbo jumbo, some philosophy, and you're kind of tuning that out.
As he's kind of mumbling, she's actually going to encourage this. Is he focusing more on searching? Because if she can, is she able to kind of obscure at least one of the ports for the computer?
Ooh.
From the guards, yeah.
Let's do this. This is going to be, it's going to be sneak plus dex.
Okay. I'm scared.
That's exactly like what he's walking, Machine's walking towards that, the staircase to go up,
Uh-huh.
and on a mission about to grab that little Weasley dude, and then he hears her talking, and pretty much she's giving him those orders, to be rational, and everything seems to be going fine with that. So he calms down a little bit and
Nice.
just
All
stands
right.
there listening.
Awesome. Perfect. That's perfect. So Machine is kind of caught between the two things, and he hears that things are not as bad as he thought it would be. So you're kind of like this animal that is ready to pounce but waiting. Inside this facility, the scientist has found the instrument, but he's kind of busy setting it up, so he's distracted by that. Ian, you get a little closer. I'll also check to see if the guards on top notice anything. Um,
Oh.
who, uh,
Oh man, that's a good roll.
Yeah.
so this guard notices you sneaking up to the machine, like not really sneaking up, but um,
Kind of sliding her hand near it.
sliding her hand, and she kind of, for the role that she's matched, she kind of doesn't see what you're doing, but she's not sure, but she knows something is up. So she starts moving from a position, and there's a staircase here, and she starts making her way down. In from the corner of your eye, you see that she's coming down.
Oh yeah, Yin's gonna pull her hand away, making sure the tech is kind of tucked, and she's gonna abort that part of the mission. And she's gonna continue to look over to the scientist or the doctor and continue to engage in conversation very casually.
Nice. Yeah, so the guard, she kind of comes there and she's looking at you intently, and you have retracted your hand. She didn't quite see what you're doing, but she definitely, you kind of drew her suspicion. So she's now at the floor and looking at you. You turn towards the doctor, and he's like, found it. Yes, there it is. Sometimes I get distracted with my thoughts. I'm just, all over the place today. I'm worried about my little plant. It doesn't seem to be doing so well, and you come in wanting a physical, and anyway, nonetheless, I'm here. And he pulls out the machine, and he kind of points to your arm. May I?
Of course, and she'll extend her right arm up to the doctor, pulling
Yeah,
back the
so-
sleeve.
Nice. And he takes a swab with alcohol, rubs it, and then takes this. It looks like an EpiPen with a syringe already, built into it, and there seems to be a small glass vial at the other end of it. He does a quick jab. You don't feel any pain, because it's kind of like a mixture. You know this. It's a mixture of, gives a very mild local anesthetic that you don't even feel the needle enter. It draws blood, and he pulls it out. It ejects the the part which has the needle. He picks it up, throws it in the trash, and he kind of removes the little vial at the other end and shakes it. That should be enough. He walks around you and types a few keys. Another part of the machine pops up, and he places the vial in. It kind of looks like a centrifuge, and he depresses it, goes back in. He runs a few more commands. You can see it spinning. This should take not more than 5 minutes. Miss Yin, sorry to keep you waiting.
No, it's fine. Though I do have a movie to catch soon.
A movie, yes. Well, it's been quite some time since I've seen a movie. What they say, work when you are with the Gota Corp. I
Of
guess it's fun to
course.
be an agent like you. And he starts rambling on about, life as a scientist in the Gota Corp and how he cannot see a movie when he wants to, and he's, going on about his shrub.
Maybe you should take your plant to the movie. It might enjoy that.
Miss Yin, I should put that in your file. You do have a sense of humor. Most of the agents who come through here are machines. They do not smile, they do not talk. Hmm. Yes, yes, you are a strange one.
Yes, I
And
do like to find the humor in my job.
yes, yes, without the humor,
Murder.
it would just be drab.
Yes. Drab.
And you guys are going back and forth. Machine, you're hearing all of this conversation over the phone. The system kind of gives a ding, and uh, it spits out a report on the screen. The scientist kind of peers it. He kind of shakes, adjusts his glasses. Oh, oh, this is very strange. Hmm. y- Your system seems to be running on much less than anticipated amount of this drug. Hmm. And he
Does
kind of
it?
looks at you. Do you feel any different? Do you feel better, worse?
Well, I'm making more jokes than before. Maybe that's a side effect.
Hmm. Yes, yes. Well, you seem fine, Miss. Sorry, Agent Yin. Um, but I must follow protocol. Um, and he kind of taps in few more keys, and I will have to up the dosage to make up for the difference that your body seems to be fighting off. I can't quite make sense, but anyway, your file is on the way to the central servers. Maybe somebody there can figure it out and advise you in the long run, but for now, per protocol, I must do this. And just a moment. And he kind of steps away, um, and kind of pulls a couple of drawers, pulls out a vial. And Ian, you can see that this is the vial that kind of, you know, there is a part on your mask that you can open, and there is a spent vial that generally you can eject out and put in a new vial. And this is the one that basically is vaporized within the mask.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes back with the vial. Well, here goes. This is the same as what you're using, but it's 5 times more potent. This should make up for the anomaly that's right now your body. So he gives you the vial.
And she takes it, looking at it, looking back up to him, and seems like he's anticipating her switching it out, so she presses the side of her mask, ejecting the other canister, and puts this one in, and clicks it to the side. And how exactly is this going to affect me on the job? Is it... Do you know?
Ian, give me a physical save and a mental save. So, as those words, um, you know, as you've just said those words, the mask vaporizes a bunch of that drug. You know, reflex. You breathe in, you breathe out, and you take that drug in. Um, as you've just said it, you feel a rush throughout your entire body. Um, all your senses are absolutely heightened. Your muscles kind of, contract and expand, and you feel like there's like this renewed strength that's, coursing through your body. You feel for a moment that you're going to lose your balance and topple over, but you're able to uh, come over that quickly. That was the physical save. However, that sudden injection of the drug, you are not used to it because it's 5 times the standard potency, and you have been trying to take yourself off it, and all of the mental effects that you would have when you're taking this drug, they're just kind of back now in full force. There is some amount of a little bit of a schizoid behavior as your mind's trying to kind of compensate for the drug. There is this heightened sense of like an animal instinct, like fight or flight. That's also kind of vying for attention. You were feeling happy and jovial up to the point you're back to that emotionless entity called Yin.
Yin, and as she stumbles a bit, catching herself, she kind of looks down at her hands. They seem to almost stop shaking from before. Her eyes can dilate as she's looking down. Turns her hands over, looks up her arms, and looks to the doctor. I see. Her eyes kind of, you can see that she's grinning underneath the mask. She looks the doctor up and down, stands up straight. Is that all you need from me, doctor?
Yes, this should keep you going, and when this runs out, it should bring your body back to the right levels of the drug through your system. At which point in time you can go to pharmaceutical and get a refill. They should know how much to give you, but that shouldn't be a problem because I think your levels will be adjusted and you can be going back to this old strength. This is just there to give you that kick to make up the gap.
Of course, I definitely feel back to my old self.
Excellent. I'm glad I could help you. It's not often that I get to fix someone. I still struggle with my shrub. Well, I must get back to it. If you have nothing else, Miss Yin, I must say have a good day. I think you already are.
Of course. And she'll slide past the doctor. She'll be walking towards the guard, not looking like she's gonna deviate from her path.
Okay. And then do you exit this facility and back to the control room?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, she
Cool.
goes back to Mason.
Okay, nice. So all that happens and you come back to Mason. Machine, as you kind of come up to Mason from the corner of your eye through the glass windows, you can see Machine is standing there by the staircase. The Gotocorp guard is still looking around. You have heightened awareness of your senses, Yin. Like I said, you're back to that old primal Yin, and you're noticing things now that you would generally notice during your missions when you had taken the drug just before you engage. You notice one interesting facet of this room. There are no cameras in this room.
Hmm. Perfect. And is Mason kind of focused on what he's doing?
Yes, Mason is focused on what he's doing. He's busy filing out his invoices and whatever the tasks he's doing. This image, I would say, kind of doesn't do it justice. You're not like in the room; you're still walking up to the room. Just to be clear, right?
Mm-hmm. So, oh god. And what's Mason doing right now? Is he just hunched over the computer?
Yeah, he's unsure the computer. He's busy working. He's not yet noticed you walking up that corridor towards him. Not yet.
And she's actually going to, as he's kind of distracted, she's going to take a bit, watch him, watch over looking at the Goto guard. It's out the window, looking at Machine. She's gonna be waiting for the right time for the guard to be looking away. And as the guard kind of looks away, she's gonna take that minute before kind of quickly approaching Mason and assassinating him.
Okay. You are going to outright kill him or knock him out with the kind of, what's the pommel of your blade? Or
Actually, yeah, full knockout.
okay, sounds good. So, just 1 minute. Sorry. So yes, so you take your full minute. You can see Machine is still standing, looking around. Guard, still looking around as well. Go ahead and give me a sneak plus dex with a +2 modifier. Nice. This guard is going to...
Yes.
Oh.
Nice. Machine, you can give me a wisdom. Well. Nice. So Yin, you take a full minute to prepare, and you go ahead and... How does this look as you do this?
So Ian's sort of leaning against the wall, studying Mason, studying the guard outside. She kind of watches her head turn, and counting the seconds she takes, taking in those kind of minor nuances. Probably some sort of routine at this point, even if it seems a little bit erratic that the guard is doing. Looks over Mason, his eyes probably turning left to right. His head's looking at the screen, focused intently on that. Takes one last glance at Machine before taking out her blade and swiftly kind of crouching and running up behind Mason as the guard has their head turned away. Quickly grabs him around by the throat from behind and knocks him out with her the pommel of her sword.
Nice. And Mason goes like, huh! Oof. And he's completely knocked over. You're still crouched, so you're kind of at this point somewhere over here. And what do you do next?
She's going to take that time to use the tech that she has, inserting it into one of the ports. And then going to access one of the drives to get that back door open.
Nice.
The Machine hasn't even noticed this either, has he?
So you inject the drive into one of the ports. You pull up a window. You can see there's a couple of files in there. One's clearly marked as the executable. You double click on it. It pops up a window and then disappears. And you can see that there's there's a notification saying drive ejected. And you pull the drive out, pull it back into your pocket. What do you do next?
So she's going to set Mason up. Is there any magazines or anything around? Maybe something personal of his?
Yeah. There are a few magazines. There's one about guns. There's the one about computers. You see, give me a. No, you have the time, so forget no rolls. Between the stacks, you see one of the magazines, which is basically erotica.
Mm-hmm. So she is going to pull out the erotica, and then she's also going to go onto his computer, and she's going to search up very similar erotica on his work computer, and hopefully these keystrokes are logged, and basically pull that up as well.
Nice.
As
Awesome.
yeah, she kind of she places his head down onto the keyboard. She slides his pants slightly off, basically setting him up a little bit. Before she takes her leave, standing back up straight and heading for the exit.
Nice. So you get up,
Busty Asians.
busty Asian. You get up and you kind of crawl back so that the Gotocorp guard doesn't see you. Then you get up and start walking out through the door. Machine, you see Yin come out of the door and heading towards the both of you.
Machine smiles at her and kind of shakes his head. As she gets closer to him, I was getting worried about you.
No need. I don't need your worry. And she looks over to the guard. We will be leaving now. You don't have to deal with him anymore.
She
Yes,
nods.
And with that, Yin will kind of go down the stairs and start making her way towards the exit.
And Machine will he'll follow behind her, and he was listening to the whole part where she, he had given her the drug and she had taken the drug, so he's kind of aware of what went on, and it was after the point that she had started to laugh, and he could tell the change in her voice and everything after she had been taking the drug. And that was actually when he was like, yeah, she's fine, and kind of hung up the phone. So he's kind of aware, I would think, at this point, and he just hasn't said anything or made any notification that he knows what's going on, but he's following behind her.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So you guys exit through the main door, and on your way out, the other guard nods at you. Machine, you tap Ian's shoulder and you kind of point her to the direction. You guys go around the building, and come towards where you had parked your car.
Machine gets up towards the driver's side and starts to open up the door and looks across the hood towards Yin. And so how you feeling now? Better?
I am feeling better than normal. But I know that's an issue. Though, and she kind of looks down at her hands again, seems to be examining them. I don't know if I want to leave this feeling anymore. It's good.
Well, let's get in.
And she slides into the passenger seat. She looks over at Machine. Seems to be sitting up straight. And she looks at him with kind of wide eyes. You can see her pupils a bit dilated. I got to drive in.
Machine starts up the car and starts to take off, driving nowhere in particular at the moment. He's just looking at her, and he doesn't feel like judgmental towards her or anything really. Um, no feelings like that. He just smiles at her, and you know, he says, "I was thinking about something. We make a pretty good team, don't you think?"
That we do. What do you have in mind?
Well, I don't actually trust myself. I find it very difficult to trust anybody, really. And I know you're a little bit like well, I always think of you as kind of like a nuclear missile.
You're not wrong.
But I like you that way. You're my nuclear missile. I've talked about the pit before, the place we all end up biting and clawing one another, trying to pull ourselves out of the muck and mire to reach godliness, to reach the movie stars and the corporate head honchos standing at the top, all pristine, clean, and shit, standing above everyone else, without a speck of mud on them, standing there smiling down at us, fighting it out down here in the mud. Everybody trying to reach them just for a second to feel amazing like them. I like the thought of following behind you, in a way. I like the thought of you bringing mass destruction to the whole corporation, to your father in his tall, pristine castle, bringing it all down into the pit with the rest of us. I just want to let you know that I'd like to follow you and see that happen.
Well, for how long do you want to follow me, Miss Dean? I do not know.
To the end.
To the end. I do not know if the end is going to be sooner than usual. Though I do plan on surviving this whole thing. And I plan on you surviving with me. And anyone who gets in my way, our way, I will make sure that they will go the same way as Nero. And I will make sure to flay them alive as long as we get out.
You could tell Machine's, he smiles at her, but it doesn't seem like the same. Like there might be a little bit of worry behind it, maybe. You can see she's all fucked up and, looking at her hands, her eyes all dilated. Well, we could forget all that and just go see a movie right now if you wanted.
Well, there's other fun things we can do. But a movie would be nice. I do want to stay with you as well, and I would be happy for you to follow me, as I will follow you as well.
It's real this time, and he says, "All right then."
I need you to promise me something first.
Anything, Chi-Chi.
I know how good I feel right now. But I also know where it's going to lead if I stay. I can't do these anymore.
You mean the drug?
Yes. It's so good, Dean. You have no idea. I'd like to stay like this for as long as I can, but it's only going to cause more pain.
He pulls over and just grabs her, starts kissing her.
And she was a bit surprised at first, but gets a bit aggressive afterwards. She kind of pushes him away. What is that?
I'm sorry, you cut out right there. What was it?
She kind of gets a bit aggressive and she pushes him away a little bit. What was that?
I don't know.
If... Well... She looks him up and down. We can skip the movie.
He says, that sounds good. And takes off back towards the apartment.
You guys were heading towards Sector 9, the full-fledged business district of Icarus. While you were talking, Machine, kind of subconsciously, you were driving both Yin and yourself towards the movie theater. And then when she says, you should be looking at other things, you turn the car around, head back on the highway, and pretty soon you find yourselves back in your apartment. Hot Pockets have not been bought. Groceries have not been done. The clothes have not been picked up. But there's a strange happiness between a person who does not feel and a person who feels so much that she has to suppress it. And as both of you entwine yourselves in each other's arms, the eye over Icarus thinks it is wise to pull back and leave the two broken souls amongst themselves, enjoying each other. And with that, the eye starts scanning Icarus itself, looking for what else the rest of the gang is doing. And with that, the screen fades to black and the session comes to a close.